We're now going to take a look at adding fractions. And adding fractions is slightly more complicated than dividing fractions or multiplying fractions. Let's take an example. If we had 2/3 added to 1/2, how would we add those fractions? We certainly could not just add the top line or add the bottom line or anything like that. At the moment, this is 2/3 and that's 1/2. Now halves and thirds are different kinds of things. They're like apples and oranges. So we can't just bring them together. We can't say like 2 apples and 1 orange is 3 anything. What we need to do is find a number that they both go into and then convert the fractions into that number. What number does 3 go into and 2 go into? If you're not sure, the best way to find out is to multiply the numbers together. That will always give you a number that they both fractions can go into, both denominators can go into. Remember, we're focusing on the denominators this time. If you're not sure, just multiply the fractions together. Sometimes there are other numbers that are smaller, but a fail-safe number to find is when you multiply them together. 3 times 2 is 6, so they both definitely go into 6. So we're going to write divided by 6. We're getting the fractions ready for when they're done, because we know they're both going to be over 6 this time. What did we have to do to the 3 to get it to be 6? We had to times it by something. It used to be a third, 2/3. Now it's something sixths. We had to times it by 2, the other number. So that means we have to times the top line by 2. With a fraction, you always have to times the top line by the same number you times the bottom line to keep the fraction the same. If you times it by a different number, the fraction will change. Indeed, with multiplying, dividing, adding, or anything, if you do the same thing to the top line and the bottom line, the overall fraction doesn't change. And in this case, we want the fraction to be the same, because otherwise we're dealing with a different number. 2 times by 2 is 4. What did we do to 2 to the half to get it to be a sixths? We times it by 3. So what we're going to have to do to the top line? Times it by 3. 1 times by 3 is 3. So now we have 4/6 plus 3/6, and you don't even need to add the bottom line. That stays the same. You just have 4 plus 3, which is 7. To cut a long story short, 2/3 plus 1/2 is 7 over 6. Bingo. Let's even highlight that. There we go. Ooh, nice. Let's do another one, just to bed it down a bit. What if we had something like 3/4 add 2/7, something a bit harder? Well, what's a number? We focus on the denominators. We're finding the lowest common multiple. And what number can 4 go into and 7 go into? That could be quite hard. Is there any tricks we could possibly use to guarantee to find a number that they both go into? This, you may have also heard, is called finding the lowest common denominator. Can you think? Well, if you're not sure, just multiply the numbers together and that will always be a number they both can go into. 4 times by 7 is 28. So let's get both fractions ready. They're now going to be something over 28. I like writing them beneath the other fractions. It just helps keep things clear. Again, what did we have to do to the 4 to get it to be 28? We had to times it by the other number, 7. So we times the top line, also by 7. What did we have to do to the 7 to get it to be 28? We times it by 4, the other number. So we times the top line by 4 as well. 3 times by 7 is 21. 2 times by 4 is 8, which means we have 21 add 8, which is 29. So we have 29 out of 28. Let's do one final example. This time, let's imagine we have a question about cakes. So, you are given 1/3 of a cake. Your friend has, let's say, 3/8 of the cake and doesn't want their piece. Doesn't want their piece. They give you their piece of cake. What fraction of the whole cake do you have? Okay, so you are given 1/3 of a cake. Your friend has 3/8 of the cake and doesn't want their piece. They give you their piece of cake. What fraction of the whole cake do you have? Well, you started off with 1/3 of the cake. So let's write that. You started off with 1/3. They've now given you their slice, so we're adding, and their slice is 3/8. So they're giving you the 3/8, and we need to find out what it is as an overall fraction. So we need to add the two fractions. What number would 3 go into and 8 go into? Their lowest common denominator. Well, remember you can just times them together if you're not sure. 3 times by 8 is 24, so they're both going to be something over 24. If you haven't found the smallest number, by the way, say there was another number smaller than 24 which they both go into, you can just simplify the fraction at the end of your answer and that will get you the correct answer the same way. Okay, 3 times by 8, the other number got us to 24, so we times the top by 8. 8 times by 3 got us to 24, so we times this top side by 3 as well. Notice you're almost always timesing it by the other number if you use this trick. 1 times by 8 is 8, 3 times by 3 is 9, so it looks like we have, after our friend has been generous and given us their slice, we have 8 plus 9, which is 17 over 24. So we have 17/24 of that whole cake all to ourselves.